Start.
Hello everybody, this is Riddhi Zanzara. We are team number 33. For the final project, we've implemented action recognition in videos. Action recognition task involves identification of different tasks from the video clips. The action may or may not be performed throughout the duration of the video. It is basically the extension of image classification tasks to the multiple frames and then aggregating the prediction from such frames. The main two challenges for the problem, one of them being the spatiotemporal context across the video is not captured properly, and another challenge is the computational cost. The motivation for our project is basically the action recognition in the videos could be used for different tasks like surveillance, security. The good results have not been yet achieved in the action recognition in videos as they're very computationally expensive. A very popular approach for the action recognition in videos is the CNNs plus LSTMs. Here the CNNs are used as the feature extractors, and LSTMs are used to capture the information between the frames. But this model is highly computationally expensive, and a lot of work has been done to reduce the computation. It has been cited in the paper, which we have referred as our baseline. And we have used this as baseline mainly because they've worked on the same data set as we have.
So for our project, we are implementing an approach which was stated in a paper one, which we have cited in our references. They have invented a new architecture, gate shift network, a GSM module, which they have combined with a BN inception or inception V3 as a baseline model. So for a project, we are using a UCF 101 dataset, which consists of 13,000 videos and has an action classes of 101. Yeah, next slide. So the key component of our architecture is a GSM module, which is a gate shift module. It acts as a 3D kernel, but it does not add a lot of new parameters in our model, and thus it is not as computationally expensive as CNN and LSTM models previously which were worked on. So GSM, we are using it as a spatiotemporal feature extractor between the different frames of video. And GSM basically creates gating features and which are created by forward shifting and backward shifting the features and zero padding them and adding them in the residual information features. So GSM module is basically constructed using a TANH activation function instead of sigmoid activation functions, as it performs very well on TANH activation functions. So whenever the output value of the TANH function is 1 plus 1, the temporal features are averaged together, and when the value is -1, the difference between the temporal features is calculated and passed on to the next layer. So for our next slide. So for our complete model architecture, we have used a BN inception as our backbone model, and we have added GSM module inside each inception block of our CNN. So in the end, total 10 of GSM modules are added altogether in our complete architecture. So in order to, for the placement of GSM module, so where should we place the GSM module? From our project results, we have observed that if the GSM module is added in the layer where the least number of convolutional layers are there, the performance increases much better. That's it.
That we've used. So first we convert each video into frames of images. As you can see, the dimensions which we've used for each image is 224 by 224. Now we've chosen these dimensions because we are using a pre-trained version of the BN inception model, which was trained on these dimensions of images. The second hyperparameter, which is the gate size, it basically tells our 3D kernel to look for 6 frames on each side of the current image in the batch to capture the spatiotemporal context. The batch size which we've used is 3 because of hardware limitations. The optimizer is stochastic gradient descent, and we've implemented a new learning rate schedule called cosine learning rate, which was proposed by 4, which we've cited at the end of these slides. we've implemented this whole model using PyTorch and trained it on our local computer. Next slide, please. So this is a small clip from our training set. So as you can see, it's a man shooting an arrow. So this is basically archery. On the right, you can see that our model, when it was given this video as the input, so it correctly predicted the class archery. So this archery is one of the many classes in this UCF 101 data set. And when we evaluated our model on the test set, we found that, next slide. Yeah, so we got an accuracy of 75%, which is quite comparable with the baseline of 81%. So now what's mostly good about our model is that it basically adds next to zero additional parameters to the 2D inception model. Now the CNN plus LSTM model, which achieved an accuracy of 81%, had a lot of additional parameters and it was extremely computationally expensive. But our model, without being that expensive, was able to achieve really good performance. And actually, I think if we had better hardware resources, we could have achieved even a better performance than this. Now, mainly we chose this UCF 101 data set because it is a smaller data set with lesser number of videos. Now, this network, which when it was originally created, it was trained on and evaluated on a much larger data set with millions of videos. With hundreds of thousands of videos. And we use this model on a smaller data set, and we found that it's achieving a really good accuracy and it's quite comparable with the state of the art. Next slide, please. So yeah, as I mentioned, we could achieve even better results with better hardware resources. Now, the goal for different surveillance applications, the main motive is to be able to detect multiple actions or a series of actions in the same video. Or in a single frame, now a sequence of frames. And so basically what we can do is we believe that we could enhance this model and add additional features like frame differencing methods to be able to adapt to this new task and to be able to detect different actions. So a lot of frame differencing methods are used to differentiate between two sequences of actions. So we can maybe implement that into our model. And so there's basically a lot of future scope for this model. And with its great efficiency and effectiveness, we believe that it could be really helpful for this purpose. Next slide. So these are basically some of the references which we've used, as we had mentioned in our slides. Yeah, thank you.